Dear students, today we are going to discuss about the language and communication attributes to hearing loss and needs of early identification. Introduction. Language is one of the ability of human being and it is automatically developed by itself and it is a complex process. Language fills every part of our life. It gives words to our thoughts, voice to our ideas, expression and feelings. It is a rich and varied human ability, one we can use without a thought that children seems to occur automatically and that linguistics have discovered to be complex yet describable. John Eddy, Bolido and Willington in 1991 stated this. Developmental functions of the language is to express the need of the individual, correct or get the help from others, explore the surroundings, helpful in sharing the incidents, facilitate for children for their imaginative. Thus, language is helpful in sharing our ideas, developing of social interactions, emotional outlet, thought is provoking, individual identity and helpful in fact recording and reality control. The prerequisites of language development may lead the child to develop the language acquisition in a systematic manner. Prerequisites mean the factor which are essential and important language development of children. The following factors are present in the prerequisites of language development. Number 1 is receptive linguistic capacity. It means any child do not have the language at the time of birth, but with a capacity to develop language through exposure, experience and environment. According to Fowler and Yantis in 1990s stated that the neurophysical built-in system that is ready to be put to use. The second category is cognitive abilities. The term cognition means perceive the information or things. Perceptual skills, the human beings, the ideas are thought for further references. It is an memories, mental process how the perception will be happen. Only when the language may starts its process and then only the perception will be happening. Basically, the language may be facilitated by cognition only. Both language and cognition are interlinked with each other. Human being has a sense of emotion, ideas, feelings, thoughts and concepts related to the environment and themselves. They must perceive the ideas, so cognitive ability is one of the prerequisites of language development. Another prerequisites of language development is input of language. It means the language may develop through exposure, experience, environment with the help of visual stimulation and auditory stimulation. The next prerequisites for language development is multisensory perceptual capacity. It means the ability of the child to receive and recognize the stimuli through multisensory abilities. The process of language process consists three major components which are essential for language development. Number one is form. It means how the language can be formed in terms of sound, word. Sentence, the form of language consists of phonology, morphology, syntax. These three components comes under the form only. When we study about the sound pattern, it is known as phonology. When we study about the word order, it is known as morphology. When you study about the sentence pattern or a management of word order in making the sentence pattern, it is known as syntax. Dear student, the next component of the language process is content. It means study about the meaning of the sound, word or sentences used in the language development. It is otherwise known as semantics. The third form of language development is usage. It means how we are using the sound, word and sentences in a particular situation based on their needs, so that it is otherwise known as pragmatism. So, the major components of language form, it includes phonology, morphology and syntax. The content includes semantics and usage includes pragmatism. So, language is an instrument used for interaction, personal, heuristic, it means finding out, imaginative needs. Therefore, hearing plays a very important and crucial role in language acquisition. Severe hearing loss leads to more problems in language development. Language and communication attributes to hearing loss. Auditory retardation is a serious one for language acquisition of children with hearing impairment. Children with hearing impairment face the following difficulties in their language development. Let us discuss about the process related difficulties. Unable to produce the speech sounds. At the same time, the children with the hearing impaired are unaware about the how speech sounds are produced. At the same time, they are unable to hear the speech sounds and they are unable to hear their own voice and they are not able to hear their voice. The next difficulty is they are not able to utilize the suprasegmental aspect of speech for perceive the information. Suprasegmental aspect means pitch, intonation, stress, rhythm and time in the speech of the individual. During conversation, the negative opinion will be happen to someone due to variation in suprasegmental aspect. The children with the hearing impaired not aware of the concept of action words. At the same time, they aware only about noun and it is limited only. They are not aware about the abstract noun. For an example, beautiful, fear, they can't understand it. The children with the hearing impaired unaware about the concept of free morphemes. Morpheme means the words which carries the meaning. Free morpheme means it is independent in the sentence. It carries meaning. For an example, boy, girl, beautiful. These are the independent word. It have the meaning. Bound morpheme means it is not an independent one. It is attached with the free morphemes. For an example, the word beautifully. In the word beautifully, fully, it's a bound morpheme. Like that, S based words, ed ended words, full based words. It means the word end have a full, that is beautiful, wonderful, like that. The children with the hearing impaired not aware of the sentence form such as present tense, past tense, future tense. For an example, the word I am writing, they can't understand what is present tense. I wrote the letter, it is a past tense words. They can't understand it. The future tense, for an example, I will go to the home. They are not aware about the present, past and future tense. At the same time, they are not aware of the singular and plural differences. They are not aware of the gender differences and their usage. And at the same time, they are not aware about the exclamatory words. For an example, when you are a very happy mood, you will say, "Ho, hooray," like that. But they didn't aware about that word also. At the same time, they are not aware about the sentence pattern, that is SOV pattern, subject, object and verb. And the children with the hearing impaired not aware of different form of sentences such as statement model, question model, exclamatory model. The children with the hearing impaired not aware about synonymy, that is different words which consist same meaning. For an example, good and nice. At the same time, they didn't aware about the antonymies, that is different words have different meaning. For an example, for the word success, the opposite word is fail. At the same time, they didn't aware about homonymy. It means the words have two meaning. For an example, people, it means when you say the student, we can mention people. When you say point out the part of I, we can say people only. So at the same time, the child with the hearing impairment not aware about the hyponymy, that means word which comes under one concept. Example, lotus. The lotus is a flower. So that concept, that flower is comes under, that lotus flower is comes under the particular concept of flower. Homonymy, it means during different graphical representation and different meaning. SON sun, SUN sun. SON sun, it meant for the son of the child. SUN sun means it's a earth material. At the same time, the children with the hearing impaired not aware about the pragmatism. It means usage of speech sound, word, sentences in a particular situation. It means the study of invisible meaning of spoken language also. The children with the hearing impaired are facing more problems in functional related difficulties. When they are using the language, for the function of the language, they are facing more difficulties. Let us discuss. Unable to share their own views, unaware about the utilization of language for social interaction. Due to hearing loss, children with the hearing impaired are unable to speak like normal person and not able to share their emotion or expression. In general, language is used as an instrument of thought. In the case of children with the hearing impaired, it is totally absent, unable to express themselves. It means hearing loss hinders the children with the hearing impaired to express the views and their identity. Due to lack in writing skills, children with the hearing impaired are unable to record the information and unable to perceive the written information in the right manner. Children with the hearing impairment not to utilize the language as instrumental. Children with the hearing impaired are unable to use the language for control the behavior of others or regulatory activities. For an example, if the person doing any mistake, when I order it, definitely the normal person can obey for my rules. In case if the children with the hearing impaired order it, they don't know in what way they have to order it. So that is a problem they are facing. and they are not aware about the language as used for explore the environment. Lack of comprehension on the content may lead to poor imagination. For an example, when I say close your eyes and think about the Taj Mahal, immediately your mindset will go to Taj Mahal. The pictorial representation of Taj Mahal comes in front of you. But in case of hearing impaired, it is very difficult because they don't have a imagination. Due to hearing loss, the children lost their opportunity related to stimulating learning experience, and it may lead to poor language development. For an example, after taking the class, and I give any assignment to the normal person, immediately they will write according to their comprehension because already they have a language. But in case of children with a hearing impaired, it is very difficult to write the whatever they learnt. So that is a problem they are facing. The next thing is, through experience, the child learns and develops intelligible communication system. But it is not happening in children with hearing impairment because of their poor interaction skill with other members. Due to poor interaction skill, the children are not mingling with a normal person. The next thing is, meaningful learning and language are developed through experience and activities. In case of children with hearing impairment, already they are not interested in involving in any activities because of their poor perceptual skills related to content. At the same time, the language is learned through exposure, but children with the hearing impaired lack the exposure because of their poor self-realization. At the same time, poor vocabulary development in children who have a congenital hearing loss. Congenital hearing loss means the hearing loss occurred at the birth itself. Due to that reason also, they will lose their vocabulary development. Children with a hearing impairment comprehend and produce shorter and simple sentences than normal children. Children with a hearing impairment are not aware of passive and active voice. The children with a hearing impairment cannot hear the words like played, fruits. This leads misunderstanding of verb tense, pluralization, verb and possessiveness. Children with a hearing impaired have difficulty in all areas of academic achievement, especially in reading and mathematical concept. They are poor in socialization with other children. We discuss about the language and communication attributes to hearing loss. Let us discuss about the need for early identification of children with a hearing impairment. Hearing impairment can result from many causes and each of which may have implications for development. The children with the hearing impairment face more limitation in their performance of one or more activities. So, when we identify the child in early years, it will be helpful in reducing the severity. Identifying the hearing problems of children in early years is very important because during the pregnancy at the month of 6 onwards, the child gets the ability to hear the sound and the hearing process ends at 7 years of the child. Because at the age of 7 only, the eardrum gets the ability to hear up to 20,000 Hz based sound. The human being has the ability to hear from 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. In case the child has a problem in hearing process, it may restrict the activity experience by an individual as a result of the hearing impairment only. The child starts their speech at the time of birth itself. Crying is the first stage of speech development of children. After crying, the child expresses their speech through cooing, babbling, and first word utterance. At the month of 8, the child starts to pronounce one syllable, two syllable, three syllable word. The term syllable refers to number of vowels in the word. With the help of hearing, he or she observes and listens to the speech of others and initiate the same. Through initiating speech of others, the child starts its speech development. If the child loses its hearing by birth itself, it is otherwise known as congenital hearing loss. Totally, it affects its speech development of the child. The absence of hearing process may hinder the opportunity related to speech development of children with hearing impairment. Early identification of hearing impairment in infants related to the acquisition of speech and language and academic achievement, which leads to develop the social and emotional development. The early childhood period, it's very important for acquisition of speech and language. Unfortunately, the child have a congenital hearing loss. It means the child born with a hearing impairment will not get the opportunity to receive the adequate learning through auditory perception, and they may face the difficulties in development of linguistics and social stimulation requisites to speech and language learning, social and emotional development. Ultimately, the parents with the hearing impairment do not know the solution for the problem of children with a hearing impairment. The goal of early identification and intervention is to minimize or prevent these adverse effects. Normal child may start their language development during pregnancy from 4th month onwards, and its end at 7 years of child. The child develops their language through imitation, incident, spontaneous and structured way during their lifetime with the help of exposure, experience and environment. These three E's, that is exposure, experience and environment, play a very vital role in every child's life because it is a base of developing the receptive and expressive language of the child. Hearing loss may affect the development of phonological, that is, phonology means study about the sound pattern, morphological, that is, study about the word pattern. Both phonological and morphological, which need for language learning. Suppose if the child have a impairment in that, it may affect the communication skills. That communication skills can lead to poor academic performance, especially reading. At the same time, it limits the career opportunity of the child. Screening and diagnosis are the two factors which are more important for further assessment and intervention. Due to unawareness about the modern assessment techniques related to identification, some of the children with the hearing impaired are identified in their later age. Unfortunately, some of the children with the hearing impairment are labeled as mentally retarded or emotionally disturbed due to their behavior. Because in the early stage, the children with the hearing impairment maintain silence or behave like mentally retarded to avoid such problem. Continuous efforts have to be made in regards with the early identification of children with hearing impairment. Conclusion: hearing is important for listening, learning and perceptual skills which leads to development of language, speech and communication skills. The impact of hearing difficulties may affect the overall development of the child's life. Suppose if the child identify earlier and intervention started, the difficulties of children with a hearing impairment will be reduced. Recent research finding stated that children with a hearing impairment identified with a hearing loss who begin services before 6 months old develop their language, that is spoken or sign, on a par with their hearing peers. According to Individuals with a Disability Education Act idea, ensure that children who have a hearing loss receive free, appropriate yearly intervention programs from birth to age 3 and throughout the school years, that is age from 3 to 21. At the same time, the yearly intervention services for infants and toddlers are family centered and are designed to. It will be designed for the purpose of help the child stay on schedule with his or her speech and language and communication skills. At the same time, it will enhance the understanding of child's hearing loss and special communication needs, and it will support the family in a way that helps feel confident in raising child with a hearing loss. Keep track of the child progress and to make decision for intervention and education each step of the way as your child develops. This is given by IDEA Act. Okay, dear students, in this chapter we discuss about due to hearing loss how the language and communications are affected. At the same time, we discussed about the early identification of children with a hearing impairment. Hope you understood the concept. So, if you find the child as early as possible, we can provide appropriate training with the amplification devices with the help of the special educator. Thank you so much.